So we're jumping back into Graham Ward's testimony now, and basically the prosecution support that Fujitsu provided to the post office and people like Graham Ward during the post office prosecution of subpostmasters, and specifically zoning on the ARQ or Audit Record Query data that could be obtained from them. He goes on to explain why you'd request this data and the fact that you'd request it in all audit cases, but then seems to backtrack a little and say, well, actually, you know, if they said they did it, maybe we didn't need evidence at all. Let's jump into the inquiry.
Thank you. And then FUJ 0012 2366. We can see a document entitled Management for of the Prosecution Support Service for ARQs, dated the 6th of June 07. And so this is right at the end of your period as a casework manager, is that right?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Just before, I think, you became an AFI.
Yeah, I found one of the certificates for passing FI. You had to go through various stages of training, and it was dated December. So my guess is that I probably joined around 6 months earlier, because I worked in the team and started training. So I would guess it'd be about that time, yeah.
This seems to be an updated process in mid-2007 relating to the document that we've just looked at, the processes described in that. Do you know what prompted or led to this document being created, this policy being created?
No, I don't know.
Can we just look forward to page 21, please, and scroll down, please? I'm sorry, that's an errant reference. If we go back to the beginning, please, and just scroll forwards, please, and just keep scrolling. A little faster, if that's possible. Yes, there, thank you. You'll see, and this is depicted in words elsewhere in the document, a process described in a graphic in relation to making audit requests.
Yes.
ARQ requests. On the left-hand side, I think non-prosecution cases, and on the right-hand side, prosecution cases. You'll see the steps on the right-hand side. Check Horizon System Help Desk, if required. Check non-polling reports if required, check appropriate peak logs if required, complete a witness statement of fact, complete exhibit labels, dispatch to Post Office Limited. And then the left-hand side describes what is to be done in the audit request part of the request.
Yep.
Does that describe, admittedly this isn't a document addressed to Post Office Limited, does that describe the nature of the possible forms of information and data the Post Office could seek from Fujitsu?
I would say yes, that's my understanding, yeah.
Were all of them, were each of them requested in each case?
Sorry, prosecution support?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Surely in every case that they prosecuted, it was requested, you would have thought.
So, in terms of the process for casework, we would request ARQ data that was asked for.
Just stopping there, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Would, in each proposed prosecution case, you request ARQ data in each case?
No.
Why would you not request ARQ data?
Unless it was asked for.
He's told us before that the ARQ data was invaluable from Horizon because essentially it could tell you who's done what at what time and when and what they've actually done. So it would almost surely undermine their own case to not request the data. Why would you not want to request the data that proves what you are alleging happened actually happened?
Decision was it to ask for it.
So it would be legal services would make the decision on what evidence was required for the case. So if there were admissions in a case, then you wouldn't necessarily need to obtain a witness statement for it.
Surely it would make sense to request that data and a witness statement in any case, just in case, for example, an admission is withdrawn at a later stage.
You mentioned a lot of issues in that last answer there.
Sorry.
You said, firstly, legal services would decide what evidence to ask for.
Yeah.
Legal services only got involved at the point at which a request to prosecute was being made.
Yeah.
Yes? Does it follow that an investigator would not seek ARQ data as part of their investigation?
Yeah, for an audit shortage, yeah, absolutely.
They wouldn't?
They would, yeah.
Okay. What determined whether or not an investigator asked for ARQ data in an audit shortage case?
I would think that for an audit shortage case, they would always request ARQ data.
Why would they always request it?
Because it would be relevant to the case.
Why would it be relevant to the case?
Because it's an audit query of all events and transactions that have happened at that office.
Isn't it enough to show that on audit there was a difference between what Horizon showed on the cash account or some other document as being needing to be present in the branch and what the stock take showed was present in the branch?
That would clarify the audit shortage. The ARQ data would help to clarify the person in the office that prepared the balance, that may have undertaken certain transactions. So it would be relevant, I think.
Yeah, which is perfectly understandable because all Horizon could tell you at that point without the ARQ data is that there was indeed a shortage or an alleged shortage if it was functioning correctly. They obviously needed two of the parts of the test for prosecution and that they've referred to previously. Number one, A, to show that a crime has been committed, which showing that there's a shortage in Horizon doesn't actually necessarily prove that, just shows that there's some money unaccounted for. But secondly, that you have to identify that the person you've accused is actually the person who's committed the crime. So that ARQ data is essentially the evidence of that.
When you say it would be relevant, are you saying it would be necessary?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And it would be necessary in all audit shortage cases?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
So that obviously undermines any audit shortage cases that may have been brought without that ARQ data.
And so you would expect to see an ARQ request in each and every audit shortage case?
If there had been admissions, I'm not sure that the investigator would have thought it necessary at that time.
Surely it would be necessary though. We've already mentioned if they withdraw the admission, but what happens if you proceed to court and the judge throws out the admission because of, I don't know, some procedural weakness which the post office have already said that they've identified themselves?
To request ARQ data.
And why?
I don't know really.
Doesn't know what to do, despite being a former investigator himself and an investigation manager and an auditor. Doesn't seem to be aware of the requirements surrounding evidence that's generated from a computer, which presumably auditors would need to be aware of. Isn't aware of the investigation process and why they wouldn't ask for ARQ data. I mean, a default sensible position would be surely if you're not sure whether you need it, you're going to request it anyway. Otherwise, you're blowing holes in your own case.